Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we are going to be talking about every weapon in Black Ops 6 and how I would balance them to make them better. It's kind of a dumb video to make, but I'm making it for myself. I'm making it because it's fun. We are getting weekend 2 of the beta tomorrow at the time that I'm recording this, and of course launch of the game is about 2 months out. And I just kind of want to see if any of my opinions on these guns is reflected in the patch notes. Basically, does Treyarch see the same things I'm seeing that would boost my ego? And I also just kind of want to know from you guys if I'm correct about this. I played a lot of the Black Ops 6 beta with every single weapon. I did not just use the Jackal. I kind of overused the XM4 and AK, but I'm going to forgive myself for that. It was too fun. Either way, let me know what you think about my opinion down in the comment section below, and let's get right into it with our first weapon. Alright, so the XM4, my most used gun in the beta, I believe is a little out of balance. This weapon was a little too good, and it's one of the few nerfs I have in my list here. The XM4 is supposed to be that versatile, run-of-the-mill assault rifle, like the role that the M4 should fill in most COD games, but I think in Black Ops 6 here we have a little bit too low recoil. So I'm going to say that recoil needs to be increased, because if the XM4 keeps this recoil, I don't see myself ever using the Ames 84 assault rifle, or Ames 85, I don't remember. I'm never using it if this is not, dealt with. Although I don't want the XM4 to feel random, so I'm going to say increase vertical recoil instead of horizontal recoil, just so it's a little bit easier to control, but does require you to either use attachments or a little bit more of your thumbs and hands to make it work better. So anyway, XM4, increased vertical recoil. Next, AK-74. I think the AK-74 was a solid gun. I really like it. I do think, however, that it needs an increase to its range. It felt like the AK-74 just wasn't performing at range like I'd like it to for something with that lower rate of fire. And if it's going to be that lower rate of fire, heavier hitting assault rifle, I think it deserves more range. Now, I don't want it to have any accuracy increases or anything. I just want it to be rewarding to hit long distance shots, even with this gun's higher recoil. Obviously, we don't have detailed stats. This could have the best range out of all of the assault rifles, but I just felt like when I would get in those long distance gunfights, I could land all my shots and control my recoil, but it still really wasn't worth it, and I'd get a lot of hit markers. So, little increased range for the 74. Next is the Ames, or Ames 85, and that assault rifle was really inconsistent for me. I started to get good with it at the end of the last day of the beta, but the Ames, I think it needs a little love. I think it is missing something, and I decided that this thing shouldn't have its damage range or recoil or anything like that touched. I think it needs one stat buff, and that is an increase to bullet velocity. This weapon is our low recoil, sort of Kilo, Krig, ACR type rifle, and I think in order for this to work out and feel like the consistent long-range beast that it can be, it needs to have some of the fastest bullet velocity in the AR category, because that's totally the niche this weapon is going to be fitting, and I don't want a long-range, low-recoil assault rifle to have bad bullet velocity. I just noticed the gun felt a little inconsistent, and if I knew that it had the fastest bullet velocity, or one of the fastest bullet velocities in the game, I would know that I'm dealing with a more consistent tool, and I think that would make the gun feel a lot better to use. But who knows? Let me know what you think about this. I also wouldn't mind an increase to its damage range, but there are barrels in this game that increase your damage range that have no downside, so I don't know if it needs to do that. So those are the 3 assault rifles. Let's go on to the SMGs, starting with the Jackal PW, the gun that nobody can shut up about, and I don't really want it touched at all, except in 2 ways. I want its range reduced and its bullet velocity reduced. The Jackal PW should feel the way it feels right now when it comes to recoil and rate of fire. The gun feels fun to use, and it should be a really fast close-range weapon. It is a pistol-sized SMG after all, sort of an Uzi MSMC type of gun. So I do want it to be fast and frantic, and I don't mind it having lower recoil, but if it's going to do that, it needs to not be challenging me at mid-range. And the C9, which we'll talk about later, the other SMG, that gun technically out DPSs the Jackal, but you can't tell because the Jackal wasn't excelling in DPS or TTK, it was excelling in general versatility, which is where a lot of the best SMGs in Call of Duty become the best SMGs. It's not a matter of TTK or DPS or whatever, it is simply a matter of they are SMGs that are really good at their job that also, for some reason, have low recoil and really good range. So I don't want the Jackal to feel different to control and shoot. I just think that its bullets should be doing a lot less farther. So yeah, reduce the velocity and range on the Jackal. I think it'll be a very balanced gun. Moving forward, the C9, I think, was in a really good spot. The only issue was it was being beat out by a gun that was, fighting outside of its effective range. But the thing is, I don't want to give the C9 like better range and better velocity, because then we just have a different overpowered SMG. So I'm going to say, leaving the C9 exactly how it is, tune in its horizontal recoil. Basically, less zigzagging, less bouncing. I want that gun to feel like a laser beam. I don't mind it being a close range laser beam, but I don't feel like it was accurate enough. Now, maybe just the foregrip is all you need to equip to make it work, but I don't believe in crutch attachments, so I think the gun in general should just have a more predictable recoil pattern so that you don't have to use that foregrip, and it cements the gun more as a laser beam. But we don't know what the other SMGs in the category are going to play like. Maybe that's a bad idea. If so, then I would kind of say leave the C9 alone. I think the C9 is going to thrive in an environment with a nerfed Jackal. So let's just say my video became reality and all of these patches happened. Then, okay, the C9's kind of just fine on its own. I just think it should feel more consistent to shoot. Moving on to marksman rifles, using the SWAT 5.56 was a lot of fun, but I couldn't get things going with it. The thing is, I don't want an overpowered marksman rifle. We already experienced that throughout all of Cold War. I don't want that. But this is a heavier burst rifle that's supposed to be able to one-burst people with accurate, slower bursts, and it does that very well. So I think in order to make it more consistent and feel better, increase the bullet velocity. Just make the bullet velocity on this thing insane. And honestly, Treyarch, as a callback to Black Ops 2, give this thing LMG level bullet penetration, I beg of you. I really want the SWAT 5.56 to have best in class bullet penetration for no reason other than the fact that in Black Ops 2 the SWAT 5.56 for some reason was coated with LMG bullet pen, and I don't think they ever fixed that. So please, let the SWAT 5.56 with a slow, heavy burst actually rip through walls. So bullet velocity, just to make it more consistent, that would be perfect for me. Next, with the LMGs, we have the XMG, and I don't mind it. This thing was fine. I don't think this thing did anything wrong to anybody. My only thing with the LMGs and Call of Duty these days, because LMGs and COD kind of just taken up the role of heavy, big mag assault rifles. So what I'm going to say about every LMG in COD, give it more bullet pen. I want to be able to shred walls with an LMG. And so that's my only feedback towards the XMG. It felt fine, it felt good, I liked using it. I'm not a big LMG guy, and I think in order to cement it as something that is not just a big assault rifle, it needs to tear through walls with wall damage. Now moving on to the shotgun, the Marine SP. I'm going to say something kind of bold here. I think the gun was fine. It wasn't overpowered, it wasn't blatantly annoying, it required you to aim down sight. I don't mind any of that. It can keep all of its same damage stats and everything, and people can unlock attachments for it. The only thing I will say is I want increased handling speeds for it. I think it's cool that we have a shotgun that rewards accuracy and timing more so than just sprinting at somebody and hip firing them. So I am happy that that's the case, but the gun did feel clunky to use for me, and I don't know if that's just me remembering it poorly, but I would say the shotgun should have faster handling speeds and leave it at that. Handling speeds being like sprint to fire, aim down sight, reload, stuff like that. Now moving on to the sniper rifles, the SVD was really solid, good weapon. I just think it should have high recoil after 2 shots. Basically increase the magnitude after 2 successive shots, basically rewarding players for being accurate, but still giving them that second shot if they missed the 1-shot kill on the first one. My fear with the SVD is that it'll become a weapon people just hold down hallways with and shred people as they come down, whereas I'd rather it be a weapon that you pick somebody off and you get that extra shot to either take out a second opponent near that person or to just, land the follow-up shot. And if they did that recoil change, I'd also say lower the flinch to make it more of a precision weapon with a focus on aiming for the head. It's really hard to use a rifle that sort of encourages you to go for headshots when it has such high flinch. So reduce the flinch and increase the recoil after 2 shots, and I think that'd be a perfectly balanced sniper rifle. Now when it comes to the LR762, this is one of the best sniper rifles I have seen and heard in COD in a long time. It is so snappy, it is so responsive, it is so meaty. but it's a little inconsistent. I think there needs to be better initial aiming accuracy, so lower idle sway on initial aim. It also felt like the center of the scope was sort of misaligned with my screen, and there was so much view bobbing when walking around. So really, I just want that scope to be in the center of my screen and holding a bit more still. Other than that, I think the rifle is perfect. There's some other handling things that were kind of glitching out the game, so I'm not going to talk about those, like going into tac sprint after like firing a shot would cause like an animation break that could like potentially get you killed. So I'm not going to talk about that. That's a bug that should be fixed, but when it comes to the weapon itself, I just want that scope to be centered and steady. Other than that, I think we're good. Now when it comes to the pistols, I have the same opinion on both. You need to increase the draw times and the fire rates. I know there are fire rate triggers on the pistols that I was not able to unlock yet, and boo-hoo, so sad for me, but I think these pistols need to be firing a bit faster out of the box, and you should be able to draw them faster. They are so painfully slow to bring out in the middle of a gunfight. Captain Price told me, like 2 decades ago now, that switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading. I don't think that's really true in this game, so please, especially since we don't seem to have pistol fast draw as an attachment, which is a massive downgrade, boo womp. I do just really want faster draw times by default for these pistols. So that is my opinion on all of the guns I was able to use in the beta. I think if the LR762 was more steady, I think if the Ames had more bullet velocity, I think if the C9 was just not in the same game as the current Jackal, it would excel. I think that if the Jackal had lower bullet velocity and lower range, the XM4 a little bit more recoil, the AK-74 more range, the SWAT 5.56 more bullet pen and velocity, the shotgun more handling, the XMG better wall pen, and the SVD with that recoil and flinch change I think would be just excellent. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you not? Either way, I don't mind. I just want you to agree with me. Anyway, I'll see you when I see you guys. Thank you so much, and I will be doing a second video like this after the second weekend of the beta about the other weapons they're adding, like the Tonto 22, the DM10, and whatever other weapons they end up adding. So anyway, thank you guys so much, and I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.